My name is Isabel and I'm 27 years old. This is the story of how I was abandoned at the lowest point of my life and how I transformed that pain into something even my enemies couldn't have fathomed. But let's start from the beginning, from the day my world shattered on a hospital bed. It was a Tuesday in March. The sky was a dull gray and a light rain tapped against the window of the maternity ward. I had just undergone an emergency C-section. The birth had been complicated. The twins hadn't been in the ideal position. The doctors were worried. Anesthesia had left me in a semi-conscious state for hours. But then, there they were. Two perfect babies, Enzo and Isabella, my son and my daughter, nestled in bassinets beside my bed, swaddled in blue and pink blankets. Their tiny faces were serene, their eyes closed, their breaths soft. Looking at them, I felt a love so immense it ached in my chest, a love that made me forget the surgical pain, a love that convinced me it was all worth it. My husband Philippe wasn't there when they were born. He'd called saying he was dealing with important matters and would be there soon. 4 hours passed. The nurses asked, "Isn't Dad coming to meet the babies?" I'd offer a polite, slightly awkward smile. He's on his way, probably stuck in traffic. But a part of me already knew. Something was wrong. When Philippe finally entered the room, he didn't rush to the bassinets, didn't scoop up the newborns, didn't kiss me. He simply stood frozen in the doorway, his expression one I'd never seen before, cold, distant, as if he were looking at a stranger. "Philippe," my voice was weak, still affected by the anesthesia. "You're here. Come and meet our children." He took 2 steps inside and stopped. He glanced quickly at the bassinets, then looked away. My heart began to pound. "Philippe, what's wrong?" He took a deep breath, pulled an envelope from his jacket pocket, and placed it on the bedside table. "Isabel, I've had many conversations with my mother these past few months, and we've come to a conclusion." A chill ran down my spine. A conclusion about what? He stared out the window, avoiding my gaze. "That this marriage was a mistake. You're not our level. Your family is poor. Your father's a bricklayer. Your mother's a cleaner. There's no future. I deserve more." The words fell like stones, each one hitting with brutal force. "Philippe, I just gave birth to our children." My voice trembled. "Our twins. Are you joking?" He finally looked at me, his eyes empty. "No. My mother was right from the start. You orchestrated this pregnancy to trap me, to gain access to the family's money. But it won't work." I tried to sit up, but the pain from the C-section wouldn't allow it. "Orchestrated? Philippe, you're insane. We planned these children. You wanted to be a father." He shook his head. "My mother showed me the truth, and she showed me my true path. I'm marrying Larissa Mendonça, the daughter of the owner of Banco Progresso, a union that makes sense, a family of the same standing." I couldn't process his words. "Marry? You're married to me." He gestured to the envelope. "Divorce papers. I've already signed. All that's needed is your signature. My lawyer will file them tomorrow." I stared at the envelope as if it were a venomous snake. "You're asking for a divorce on the day our children were born? These children aren't my problem." The phrase was so cold, so calculated, it felt like a slap in the face. "I won't take responsibility. I won't pay child support. My mother has already spoken with the lawyers. Technically, if I state I don't want paternity, I can be absolved of my obligations." Tears began to stream down my face. "Philippe, you're abandoning your children. Newborns mere hours old?" He walked towards the door, his hand on the knob. "You'll manage. You're poor. You must be used to hardship." He turned to leave. "Philippe!" I screamed with all my might. He stopped, but didn't turn around. "Don't do this, please. Think of the children. They need a father." "They have you. That should be enough." He opened the door. "Goodbye, Isabel." He walked out, and the door closed with a soft click. My world had collapsed. I looked at Enzo and Isabella in their bassinets, sleeping peacefully, unaware that their father had just deserted them, unaware that we were now alone. I cried until I had no tears left. A nurse entered, saw my state, and tried to comfort me. "What happened, dear?" I couldn't answer, only pointed to the envelope. She opened it, read it, and her face paled. "Oh my God, he's asking for a divorce now." I nodded. "What kind of man does this?" I spent 3 days in the maternity hospital alone. None of Felipe's family appeared, not even a phone call. It was as if I and the children had ceased to exist. On the 3rd day, my parents arrived. My father, Jose, a 55-year-old man with hands calloused from construction work. My mother, Maria, 52, her back stooped from cleaning other people's homes. They entered the room and melted upon seeing their grandchildren. "Daughter, how beautiful they are." My mother cradled Isabella with reverent care. My father held Enzo as if he were crystal. "They're perfect." But when they looked at me and saw my tear-swollen face, they understood. "What happened?" my father asked, his voice tense. I told them everything, the divorce, the betrayal, Felipe's words. When I finished, my father's eyes were red with suppressed rage. That coward, that snake family. My mother wept, holding Isabella. How can someone abandon their own children? I took a deep breath. I don't know how I'll manage. I have no money. I have no home. I was living in his apartment. My father approached and took my hand. "You'll come to our home. It's small, but it's yours. We'll help you, daughter, you and these children." My mother agreed. "We'll manage." We always have. And so I was discharged from the maternity hospital, not to the middle-class apartment Felipe had provided, but to the modest 2-bedroom house on the outskirts of São Paulo where I grew up. My parents' home had a tiny living room, a kitchen where a table barely fit, 2 small bedrooms, and a single bathroom. They had lived there for 30 years. It wasn't luxury, but it was a home. My old bedroom became the twins' nursery. Cribs donated by neighbors, clothes bought from thrift stores, diapers that consumed the entire budget. The first few months were hell, waking every 3 hours to feed, changing diapers endlessly, the children crying simultaneously, exhaustion bone deep, and worst of all, the humiliation I felt every time I saw my mother running to neighbors to borrow clothes, or my father working overtime to buy formula. I felt shame for believing Felipe, shame for being so naive. 2 months after giving birth, I had to work. My parents' money was barely enough for themselves. I couldn't continue to depend on them. But how could I work with 2 little children? My mother suggested, "I'll watch them during the day. You work, and at night you watch them while I rest." "But Mom, you'll quit your job." She smiled tiredly. "I've been working for 30 years. I can watch the grandchildren for a while. You're young. You need to build a future." I cried, hugging her. "Thank you, Mom." The next day, I went job hunting. I hadn't finished higher education. I dropped out when I married Felipe. No experience, only a high school diploma. I visited 10 places. All rejected me until I reached the Rede Globo television station. A massive entrance, an imposing building. I almost gave up, but my mother knew someone who worked there. I found the number of the head of housekeeping and called, "Dona Celia, I'm Isabel, a friend of Dona Maria. I'm looking for work." Celia was a 60-year-old woman. Her voice was firm but kind. "You can come tomorrow at 6 in the morning. There's an opening for a cleaning assistant." Cleaning assistant. Minimum wage. But it was a job. I accept. The next day, I woke at 4 in the morning, left the twins sleeping with my mother, took 2 buses, and arrived precisely at 6. The work was arduous, scrubbing toilets, wiping down vast corridors, emptying trash cans, lugging heavy buckets of water. But I did it all without complaint because every real I earned was for Enzo and Isabella, for diapers, for food, for a future I didn't yet know how to build but was determined to achieve. artists, directors, producers hurried past in the corridors, all important and rushed. I was invisible. The cleaner who mopped the floors they walked on, but I observed everything. How filming sessions happened, how commercials were shot, how extras were chosen. I absorbed this world, unaware that one day I would become a part of it. 6 months of hard work, waking at 4, returning at 3, caring for the twins until they slept. 4 hours of sleep, and then it all began again. Weekends didn't exist. The twins demanded all my attention, yet they were my reason. When Enzo smiled for the first time, I forgot my exhaustion. When Isabella laughed for the first time, the pain lessened. One day, while cleaning a studio after a shoot, I overheard a conversation between a producer and an assistant. "We need twins for a yogurt commercial, a boy and a girl, 2 years old, but we can't find anyone with the right chemistry." The producer was frustrated. "We've tested 20 pairs, none fit." I stood there, mop in hand. Twins, a boy and a girl, 2 years old. Enzo and Isabella had just turned 2. They would be perfect. But how could I dare? I was a cleaner. I couldn't just offer my children for a commercial, could I? I returned home that day with an idea pounding in my head. That evening, while bathing the twins, I spoke to my mother. "Mom, today I heard about a casting call for a commercial. They need twins." My mother frowned. "And?" I took a deep breath. "What if I put Enzo and Isabella forward?" She stopped drying Enzo. "Daughter, do you think they'll choose a cleaner's children?" The question was painful but valid. "I don't know, but I have to try. The money would be good. And," I paused, "I don't know how to explain it, but something tells me this is a chance to change everything." My mother insisted. "And I want Philippe to see. I want him to know that the children he abandoned are special." My mother looked at me for a long time, then nodded. "Then try. What do you have to lose?" The next day, I gathered my courage and waited for the producer to exit the studio. "Excuse me, ma'am," I said. She turned. "Yes?" My voice trembled. "I heard you're looking for twins, a boy and a girl. I have twins." She looked me up and down. Cleaning uniform, tired face, hands cracked from cleaning products. "How old are they?" 2. They just turned. She sighed. "Listen, we've tested so many children." "Please," I interrupted. "Just one test. If they don't fit, no problem, but give me a chance." She hesitated, then pulled out a business card. "Tomorrow, 10 a.m., Studio 3. Bring them." I took the card with trembling hands. "Thank you. Thank you so much." That night, I barely slept. What if this was a chance to change everything? What if Enzo and Isabella were chosen? What if they weren't? So many what-ifs. But for the first time in 2 years, I felt something akin to hope. The next morning, I dressed Enzo and Isabella in their nicest clothes. A blue shirt for him, a pink dress for her. I carefully brushed their curly hair. Their green eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Let's go for a walk, my loves." I boarded the bus to Globo, not as a cleaner, but as a mother taking her children to an audition. And as the studio door opened, I didn't know it, but I was on the verge of changing our lives forever. Studio 3 was immense. Powerful spotlights hung from the ceiling, cameras perched on tripods. A crew of at least 20 people bustled around. The producer who gave me the card was talking with the director. When she saw me enter with Enzo and Isabella by the hand, she waved. "You're here. Come over." I approached with the twins. Enzo gazed around with wide eyes. Isabella clung to my hand, shy. The producer knelt to their level. "Hello, beautiful ones. What are your names?" Enzo answered without fear. "Enzo." Isabella whispered, "Isabella." The producer smiled. "You really are identical?" "Yes." Identical green eyes, identical curls. The director approached, a man in his 40s with a salt and pepper beard. He assessed the twins with a professional eye. "Put them over there on the set. Let's see how they behave." The set was simple. A low, colorful table with prop yogurt jars. I sat Enzo and Isabella on small chairs. "Sit here quietly, okay?" The producer took a real yogurt jar. "Let's pretend you're eating." "All right." Enzo picked up a spoon and began to play. Isabella followed her brother's lead, and then something happened that no one expected. Enzo made a funny face. Isabella burst into genuine, infectious laughter that filled the studio. Enzo laughed with her, and then they began to laugh at each other. "Don't stop," the director yelled to the cameraman. "Keep rolling." The cameraman focused on the twins. Enzo and Isabella were in their own world, playing, laughing, completely natural. No pretense, no artificiality. Just two children being children, but with an incredible chemistry that the camera perfectly captured. When the shoot ended, the director looked at the producer. "There it is. We found them." The producer nodded. "Perfect chemistry, photogenic, natural behavior." They approached me. "Isabel, correct?" I nodded, nervous. "Your children are exactly what we were looking for. We want to sign them for the commercial." My heart raced. "Really? They were chosen?" The director smiled. "More than chosen. They're perfect." The producer took out some papers. "I need you to sign the contract. The payment is 2,000 reals per day of filming. There will be 3 days. 2,000 per day. 3 days. 6,000 reals. That was more than my cleaning salary for 3 months. "Where do I sign?" My hands trembled as I signed the contract. I was given a copy. "Filming begins next week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, from 9 a.m. until noon." I left that studio feeling I was floating above the ground carrying the twins. "You did so well. Mom will be so proud." The filming went easier than I expected. Enzo and Isabella behaved perfectly. The director adored them. These children have natural talent. When I received the 6,000 reals, I cried. For the first time in 2 years, I had surplus money. I bought new clothes for the twins, paid my parents' overdue electricity bill, and saved the rest. 3 months later, the commercial aired during prime time. Enzo and Isabella eating yogurt, laughing, having fun. 15 seconds of pure charm. My mother watched, tears streaming. My grandchildren on TV. My father recorded it on his phone. "I'll show everyone at work." I watched silently, thinking, is Philippe seeing this? I didn't know, but yes. That evening, 200 kilometers away, Philippe sat in the living room of Patricia's mansion, married for 2 years to Larissa. A cold marriage. Loveless. Larissa was glued to her phone. Patricia controlled everything. Philippe felt a void. He was watching a series when a commercial came on. 2 children, twins, curly hair, green eyes. Philippe leaned forward. What beautiful children. The commercial ended. The series returned. Philippe was left with a strange feeling. Those green eyes were like his. He shook his head. Impossible. He had abandoned twins 2 years ago. They weren't part of his life. But the commercial became a hit. It played during every break. Social media buzzed about who these yogurt commercial twins were. Such beautiful children. Perfect chemistry. The yogurt company saw engagement skyrocket. They called me. "Isabel, we want to extend the contract. 3 more commercials. 10,000 per spot. 10,000 per spot." I agreed immediately, but it didn't stop there. Then other companies started calling. "Are your twins available?" Pampers wanted them for a diaper ad. Johnson's for baby soap. Happy for toys. Each offer better than the last. In 6 months, Enzo and Isabella filmed 8 commercials. A total earning of 60,000 reals. Money I had never dreamed of. I quit my job as a cleaner. Now I was an entrepreneur, managing my children's careers. I opened an LLC, hired an accountant, and rented a larger apartment for the 3 of us. My parents remained in their home, but without financial worries. I paid off all their debts. By the age of 3, the twins were recognizable faces. Mothers would recognize them on the street. "Look, it's the TV twins." The children would ask for photos. Isabella was shy. Enzo adored the attention, but both were well-behaved, kind, normal. I made sure of that. I didn't want to raise spoiled stars. I wanted to raise good people. The biggest offer came when they turned 4. Nestlé wanted them for a national Christmas campaign, a 6-month contract, 20 different spots. The fee, $500,000. I almost fainted when I heard the amount, $500,000. The manager smiled. Your children are worth it. They are the most charismatic children in Brazilian advertising. I signed, and the Nestlé Christmas campaign with Enzo and Isabella broke all viewership records. The commercial aired 10 times a day on every channel. The twins opening presents, eating chocolate, laughing, hugging. All of Brazil fell in love. Veja magazine ran a report, Golden Twins, how Isabel transformed tragedy into a $1 million success. The article briefly told the story. A single mother, abandoned by her husband, worked as a cleaner, discovered her children's talent, built an empire. My photo was on the cover, hair styled at a salon, designer clothes, smiling, holding Enzo and Isabella. I looked like a different person, and I was. I was no longer the humiliated Isabel from the maternity ward. I bought my own house, 3 floors, a room for each twin, a playroom, a yard, a pool. I housed my parents on the first floor. Dad, Mom, you no longer have to work. You'll enjoy the grandchildren and travel. My father cried, Daughter, I never imagined. I hugged him. It was you and Mom who gave me strength. Now it's my turn to take care of you. By the age of 4, Enzo and Isabella had 25 active contracts. Annual income, 8 million reals. I opened Miracles Talents Lawaneda and began managing other children too, becoming an authority in the field. Business magazines interviewed me. How did you do it? I always answered the same way. Hard work, love for children, and never giving up. It was a Tuesday in December, 4 years and 9 months after I was abandoned, when everything changed. I was at home, reviewing contracts, when the phone rang. An unknown number. I answered. Hello? A man's voice, nervous. Isabel, it's Philippe. My entire body froze. Philippe, 4 years without hearing that voice. How did you get my number? My voice was icy. I was looking for Isabel. I need to talk to you. I saw on television. I saw them, Enzo and Isabella. They're beautiful. Yes. His voice wavered. They were my children. I corrected him. They were your children. You abandoned them when they were mere hours old, remember? Silence on the other end. Isabel, I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. My mother manipulated me. The marriage with Larissa is hell. I have no children with her. And then I saw the twins on television and I realized, I interrupted. And what? I lost everything. They're beautiful, intelligent, famous, and I don't know them. They don't even know I exist. Isabel, please, let me meet them. Let me be a father. I let out a bitter laugh. Be a father? Philippe? A father is someone who raises them, who gets up in the middle of the night, who changes diapers, who stays awake when they're sick. You did none of that. I know. His voice was broken. I know I don't deserve it, but they deserve to have a father. They deserve to have a complete family. I took a deep breath. I'll think about it and speak with my lawyer. If I decide you can meet them, it will be under my terms. Understood? He agreed quickly. Yes, whatever you wish. I hung up. I stared at the phone. Enzo and Isabella were in the other room playing. I could simply refuse Philippe, making it easier, but they also had rights. I called my lawyer, Dr. Sana, and explained the situation. She was direct. Isabel, legally he has rights, but you can request supervised visits with a psychologist present until the children adapt. I want that, and I want everything documented. If he misses even one appointment, he loses his rights. Dr. Sonia agreed. I will prepare the documents. We'll meet in a week at a sophisticated cafe. Felipe arrived 10 minutes early. He was thin, with dark circles under his eyes and streaks of gray in his hair. He didn't resemble the arrogant man who had abandoned me. I sat opposite him. I'm here because my children deserve choices. I will tell them you exist. If they wish to meet you, it will be on our terms. Once a month, always with a psychologist present in a neutral location. If you miss a single appointment, it's over. If you make them cry, it's over. If you try to manipulate me, it's over. Of course. Felipe nodded several times. Of course, I accept everything. I stood up. My lawyer will send you the documents. Sign them. I was already leaving when he grabbed my hand. Isabel, I'm so sorry. I was a coward. I destroyed the best thing I ever had. I pulled my hand away. Yes, you were. But I and they survived, and we are doing wonderfully. Better without you than I ever was with you. I walked out of that cafe without a backward glance. At home, I sat with Enzo and Isabella, 4 years old, bright, inquisitive, my dearest. Mommy needs to tell you something important. They stopped playing. Do you know everyone has a mother and a father? Yes, Enzo nodded. You are our mother, Isabella added, and Grandpa Jose is our grandpa. Yes, but you also have a father. His name is Felipe. It's just, he didn't live with us. Enzo frowned. Why? How to explain to a 4-year-old that their father had left? Because he had to leave when you were very little, but now he wants to meet you. Do you want to meet him? Enzo and Isabella exchanged glances. Isabella asked, Is he nice? I don't know, my love. You'll have to find out yourselves. Enzo considered. Maybe he'll bring a present. I couldn't help but chuckle. Maybe. Then I want to meet him. Isabella agreed. Me too. 2 weeks later was the first meeting. The child psychologist's office. Toys, soft colors, a safe environment. Felipe arrived with a bag of gifts. Enzo and Isabella entered with me, saw Felipe, and became shy. The psychologist, Dr. Anna, led the meeting. Enzo, Isabella, this is Felipe. Felipe, these are your children. Felipe knelt down. Tears streamed down his face. Hello, you are even more beautiful in person. Enzo approached with curiosity. Are you crying? Felipe wiped his face. I'm crying because I'm so happy to meet you. Isabella asked, Did you bring presents? Felipe smiled and opened the bag. Expensive toys. Enzo and Isabella perked up. The session lasted an hour. Felipe played with them, talked to them, listened to their stories. When it concluded, Enzo hugged Felipe. Will you come again? Felipe looked at me, seeking permission. I nodded. Yes. We got into the car. Enzo asked, Mom, can we call him Dad? My heart ached. For now, you can call him Felipe. If one day you want to call him Dad, then we'll talk. The meetings continued. Once a month, always supervised. Felipe was punctual, attentive, but distant. The twins liked him, but a deep bond never formed. To them, Felipe was an uncle who brought gifts. He wasn't a father. Father was a concept they didn't have because it had never existed. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, someone else was watching the commercials with obsessive attention. Patricia, the mother-in-law who had orchestrated everything, saw the famous grandchildren on television, beautiful, charismatic, wealthy, and she wanted a piece of it. 3 months after Felipe began his visits, I received a call from an unknown number. I answered cautiously. Hello. A woman's voice, mature, imperious. Isabel, I am Patricia, Felipe's mother. My entire body tensed. This was the woman who had plotted my destruction. How did you get my number? I have my ways. Her voice was calm, calculating. I want to talk about my grandchildren. I let out a bitter laugh. Your grandchildren? Patricia, you ordered your son to abandon these children when they were mere hours old. And now you want to be a grandmother? She sighed. Isabel, I know I made mistakes, but I've seen Enzo and Isabella on television. They are beautiful, talented. They are my blood. I have a right to know them. A right? You have no right at all. None. My voice was steely. Felipe has a right, because he is the biological father, and he is trying to atone for his betrayal. You orchestrated everything. You convinced him I had faked my pregnancy. You arranged a marriage with another woman, leaving me alone with 2 newborns, penniless. Patricia was silent for a few seconds. Then her voice changed, softened, became manipulative. Isabel, I understand your resentment, but think of the children. They deserve to have a grandmother. I can offer them what you cannot: travel, education in the best schools, connections. I cut her off with a sharp tone. My children need nothing you can offer. I have the money. I have the education for them. I have the love. And most importantly, I have my dignity, something you know nothing about. Isabel, be sensible. No, I almost shouted. Do you want to know the truth, Patricia? Your grandchildren are beautiful, talented, wealthy, and you will never know them. You will never be at a birthday party. You will never see them grow up. You will never hear them call you Grandma because you don't deserve it. Do you know what it's like to wake up in the hospital, your body still aching from a C-section, and hear your son say he doesn't want the children? Do you know what it's like to return to your parents' home with 2 newborns and not have enough money for diapers? Do you know what it's like to work as a cleaner? Because that was the only job I could find. You planned all of this. And now, when you see that everything has gone awry, that the children have become something extraordinary, you want a piece of the success? Patricia tried to speak, but I continued. My children have grandparents, Jose and Maria, who cared for them while I worked, who shared food from their plates so their grandchildren wouldn't go hungry, who never, ever gave up. Those are Enzo and Isabella's grandparents. You are nobody, and you will remain nobody. I hung up, blocking her number. My hands trembled with rage. Patricia dared to call, to ask to know her grandchildren, as if 4 years of betrayal could be erased because the children had now become famous and rich. I would never allow it. 2 weeks later, a package arrived at my doorstep. The sender, Patricia. I opened it cautiously. Inside were expensive gifts. An imported doll for Isabella, a high-tech remote-controlled car for Enzo, and a letter. My dearest grandchildren, I am your grandmother, Patricia. I would love to meet you. I hope you like the gifts. With love, Grandma. I repacked everything, placed it back in the box, and sent it back with a short note. Return to sender. My children do not accept gifts from strangers. Patricia tried many more times. Calls were blocked, gifts returned. She even attempted to show up at my door. The security guards I hired stopped her. Ma'am, you are on private property. Please leave or we will call the police. Felipe found out. At our next supervised meeting, he pulled me aside. Isabel, my mother is desperate to meet the twins. I looked him in the eye. No, she will not come near them. Felipe faltered. But she is their grandmother. She is no one. Felipe, you can try to atone for your mistakes. I respect that for my children's sake. But your mother was the architect of our destruction. There is no going back. Months passed. Enzo and Isabella turned 5. They remained famous, yet normal. They went to school, played, had friends, knew they were fortunate, and learned to be grateful. Every week they visited a children's orphanage, donating toys, participating in charity drives. Felipe was present, not as a perfect father, but as a father who tried. The relationship was polite. The twins liked him, but a deep connection never formed, because connection is forged in the early years, and Felipe had lost those years forever. I met Pedro, a 40-year-old businessman, kind, educated, mature. We met at a charity event, began talking, then dating. Pedro adored Enzo and Isabella, treating them as his own. He played with them, helped with homework, attended their school performances, doing everything a father should. 2 years into the relationship, Pedro proposed. I accepted. We had a beautiful wedding ceremony. Enzo and Isabella were the ring bearers, beaming, happy, shouting, "Hooray!" When we kissed, they now had a true, complete family. A mother, a stepfather who loved them, grandparents who adored them. A family built on love, not blood. Felipe was invited to the wedding. After all, he was the twins' father. He came alone. He had divorced Larissa a year prior. Their arranged marriage hadn't lasted. He sat in a corner watching the family that could have been his, watching the children call Pedro Dad. Pedro, with a smile on his face, seeing me truly happy. When the celebration concluded, Felipe approached. "Isabel, can we talk?" We stepped aside. "I just wanted to thank you for letting me get to know them. I know I don't deserve it. I know I lost everything, but you could have blocked me completely and you didn't. Thank you." I nodded. "I did it not for you, but for them." Every child deserves a chance to know their biological parents, but understand this clearly. Pedro is more their father than you ever will be. Felipe agreed, his eyes moist. "I know." He left alone, empty, paying the eternal price for a cowardly decision made 8 years ago. I returned to the party. Pedro hugged me. "It's all right. It's perfect." I looked at Enzo and Isabella dancing with Grandpa Jose and Grandma Maria. Everyone was laughing, happy. That night, after everyone had gone and the twins were asleep, I sat on the penthouse veranda. Pedro was beside me, overlooking the illuminated San Paulo. "Do you ever regret it?" Pedro asked. "Regret what?" "Taking Felipe back into their lives?" I thought. "No, because I didn't take him back. I accepted their right to choose, and they chose. They chose to have contact, but not a deep connection. It's all good." Pedro kissed my forehead. "You're an amazing woman." I smiled. "I'm not amazing. I'm a mother, and mothers do the impossible for their children." I thought of the past 8 years. From childbirth to commercials, from cleaner to entrepreneur, from abandoned woman to accomplished woman. It had been a difficult, painful journey, but every tear had been worth it, because Enzo and Isabella were not just television stars. They were beloved children, protected, surrounded by those who truly mattered. And Patricia continued to watch from afar, seeing the grandchildren she would never know, living with the consequences of her own decisions. Felipe had limited access, but he knew he had lost precious years that would never return. And me? I hadn't won through revenge, but because I had transformed pain into strength, betrayal into a new beginning, humiliation into success. I didn't need to destroy those who had destroyed me. I simply built a life so good they could never reach it. And that, I realized, was the ultimate victory. That night, before bed, I tiptoed into the twins' room. Enzo and Isabella slept soundly. I kissed each of their foreheads. "Thank you for being you. Thank you for making me strong. Thank you for showing me that true love never gives up." I quietly closed the door. In the hallway, I paused before a framed photograph. Me holding Enzo and Isabella as infants in my parents' home. Simple clothes, tired face, but a genuine smile. Beside it, a recent photo. The 3 of us on a magazine cover. Designer clothes, confident smiles. The same people, entirely different lives. And I finally understood. The best revenge wasn't that Felipe saw the children on television, or that Patricia would never know her grandchildren. The best revenge was that I became the woman I had always deserved to be. A mother, an entrepreneur, strong, free, happy, and no one would ever take that away from me again. The following years were years of continuous growth. Enzo and Isabella's program received an Emmy Kids Award. International contracts began to pour in. Disney wanted them for a film, Netflix for a series, but I remained cautious. Education came first. Childhood came first. Fame was a consequence, not a goal. And when Enzo and Isabella turned 10, at a beautiful celebration with 200 guests, the speech I gave summed it all up. My children, 10 years ago, I was born along with you. I didn't just give birth. I was born as a mother, as a fighter, as a victor. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for turning every difficulty into a victory. I love you infinitely." Felipe was there, in the corner, applauding, crying. I knew those words would never include him. Patricia wasn't there. She never would be. She watched from home, alone, seeing the celebration on television as a network had bought the rights, seeing everything she had lost due to greed and arrogance. And I was exactly where I deserved to be, surrounded by true love, a family I had built, not a family that had tried to destroy me, proving that the end of a story is written not by the one who abandons us, but by the one who stays, who fights, who never, ever gives up. So what do you think of this story of betrayal, struggle, and ultimate triumph? If you enjoyed Isabel's journey, give this video a thumbs up as it helps the channel grow. And please write in the comments what you think. Should Isabel have forgiven Patricia, or was she right to block her completely? Did Felipe deserve the chance he received, or should he have remained on the sidelines? I want to hear your honest opinions. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any touching stories. Thank you for watching until the end, and I'll see you in the next video.